Welcome back to Joe Stunner Boxing. You know, women's boxing has come on leaps and bounds, there's no doubt about it, but you still get, because the gene pool is really still quite shallow in certain divisions, you still get fighters who really are, if they're not novices, then they're kind of close to it. They're more like fighters and boxers, and they can pick up world titles. And such was the case with a lady by the name of ADELAIDA Maria Ruiz, 37-year-old Mexican-American, who became the WBC super-flyweight champion. She beat the Canadian ALEXAS Kubicki. I think Alexis is sort of Polish-Canadian. So you had a Polish-Canadian, you had a Mexican-American. And they fought, it was an entertaining fight. 10 rounds, 10 2-minute rounds, as always, with the women, or most of the time with the women anyway. And Ruiz was certainly the bigger woman. I mean, she looked physically imposing in the ring. The smaller Kubicki had fought at flyweight previously in a previous fight. Actually, she lost to Gabriela Fundora. Got stopped in 7 rounds down at flyweight. Fundora is, in my opinion, is the best female fighter in the world, pound for pound. Other people disagree, but I think Fundora she's still a very young woman. She's about 23, I think. But I think she's terrific, Fundora, really fantastic. And in all honesty, I mean, Kubicki, she came with 13 wins, 2 KOs, 2 defeats. And she's only 22, Kubicki, like the Polish-Canadian. But her first defeat was back in 2023. She lost an 8-round decision to a lady who had a 2-3-2 record. So we're talking about, lower level ladies. And I mean, 18 months later, 2 years, what is it? Yeah, about 18 months later, she's fighting for a world title, even though she lost to a woman with a 2-3-2 record. And she's jumping up. She's coming off a 7th round KO defeat. And then she gets a shot at a higher weight, the vacant belt. Well, in all honesty, she fought quite well. Even though she's out of a weight division, she's only 22 years of age, she doesn't hit very hard. And she took on the much bigger Ruiz, who came in with 17 wins and 8, I think it's 17 wins to 8 KOs, which 8 KOs in 17 wins for the women's game is pretty sturdy. It's a good ratio. But she did lose to Ginny Fuchs, I think 3 fights ago, and I think she only had about three fights. And Ruiz lost to her on a split decision. And yet, again, she finds herself, 2 fights later, fighting for a vacant world title. Well, Kubicki certainly couldn't miss Ruiz with the right hand. From the word go, she was slinging that right hand over and cracking Ruiz on it frequently, just whatever she threw it, Ruiz just couldn't get out of the way. But she wasn't having any effect. And clearly the bigger woman, looks like the much bigger woman. And bear in mind, Kubicki is 22 years of age. Ruiz is 37. So you're almost talking about, one fighter is almost old enough to be the other's mother, not far off it. But she was getting caught with the right hand, but she didn't seem to care. Didn't bother her. But when she landed, especially to the body, she was troubling Kubicki. And Kubicki, to her credit, I mean, she calls herself the Iron Lady. Brings back bad memories of a certain other Iron Lady, but Kubicki showed some guts here. And when she was whacked to the body, I mean, these 2-minute rounds infuriate me, because Ruiz, when she got close to Kubicki, who was very, very industrious, was going forward, throwing lots of punches. But as soon as Ruiz got close to her and whacked her to the body, especially with the left hook, Kubicki was in trouble. And what Ruiz needed was a 3rd minute to finish her off. Couldn't get it, didn't have it. So Kubicki kept surviving. And Ruiz almost got Kubicki. The one occasion when she almost got her out of there was in the 5th round, when she landed a combination. It was a right, left, right, or maybe a left, right, left. There was a 3-punch combination anyway. Kubicki right in front of Ruiz, you don't want to be there. Ruiz much the harder puncher. Bang, 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 all 3 punches landed, and over goes Kubicki. She gets up. She's in some difficulty, some discomfort, understandably so. Ruiz goes after her, bangs to the body. Again, Kubicki, you know, flitting around the ring, trying to get away from those body punches. But she survives. And that's pretty much how the fight, the rest of the fight in the second half, panned out. You had the heavier-handed Ruiz landing good body punches, but she just didn't quite have enough time in the round to get rid of Kubicki, who was very, very game. If they'd been 3-minute rounds, I suspect we might have had a stoppage. As it happens, I mean, I had this closer than I think the judges did. I had it somewhere like 96, 93, I think, in favour of Ruiz. And she was just too big for Kubicki. And Kubicki just doesn't hit hard enough to keep a much bigger woman off her. But I'll tell you what, she's a game kid, you know. But neither of these ladies were technically very good. There wasn't a lot of defence on display. It was an entertaining fight, don't get me wrong. I enjoyed watching it. But it was more of a fight than a boxing match. And for these two women to fight for a vacant belt, it just shows you that the gene pool in certain weight divisions is still pretty shallow. And I'm a big supporter of women's boxing. As if you follow the channel, you know I follow women's boxing quite a bit. A fight is a fight. I've got massive respect for fighters, no matter what gender they are. I don't give a shit if they've got guts, if they've got the guts to get in the ring, especially on in front of everyone else on TV or some sort of platform. Massive respect to them. So I'm not taking anything away from Ruiz or Kubicki, but this was technically low level stuff. But you know what? I mean, I grew up watching small hall boxing, and that's kind of low level. But you get some great fights on it, really good fights, area level fights, English title fights, British title fights. British title's quite a high standard, but area level, I've seen fighters who they win their area belt because they're not particularly naturally talented. That's their British title, you know what I mean? These two ladies, I mean, Kubicki will come again. She's now slipped to 13 wins and 3 defeats, but she can come again. She's only 22. But for Ruiz, ADELAIDA Ruiz, I think her name is, ADELAIDA Maria Ruiz is what I read on BoxRec anyway. She's finally reached the top of the mountain. WBC super-flyweight champ, and, fair play to her. So, yeah, I don't know. It's interesting to see how women's boxing is evolving. It's still got some way to go, certainly in certain divisions. But go and have a look at it. This was on the Pro Box. One of the fights on the Pro Box, the TV that's on YouTube. I keep raving about it. It's free to wear, and there's some excellent cards that are free. You got Chris Algieri and Paulie Malignaggi giving some excellent commentary on it, and the fights are, pretty damn good. And this was one of them. So go and have a look at it. Tell me what you think. Oh yeah, thanks for watching the video. Hit the like button if you like the video. Please do that. You help us out, and also subscribe to the channel if you're new. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. I'll catch you later. Bye for now.